Welcome to the Practical NLP podcast with me, Andy Smith, bringing you tips and explanations of neuro-linguistic programming techniques and ideas, plus interviews with NLP thought leaders and practitioners using it in the field. This episode is brought to you by the Coaching Leaders web store at webstore.coachingleaders.co.uk, bringing you my tools and resources for NLP trainers, including exercise packs, rebrandable slide decks, and customizable practitioner manuals. If you're not a trainer but just interested in NLP and personal development, we also have motivational self-hypnosis audios, the Practical NLP book series, and downloadable freebies. My guest this week is NLP trainer and psychologist Sarah Makinde, who has some useful tips on how to use Robert Dilts's logical levels model for coaching towards goals. I chime in too with the slightly different way that I use it for helping clients resolve problems. Sarah has also built an incredibly successful Facebook community for coaches, so you can also listen in for some tips on how to make Facebook groups work for you and build a community. Okay, let's get started. My guest today is Sarah Makinde, who is a chartered psychologist, NLP trainer, and I'm not quite sure what else, but we're going to be investigating. Positive psychology, NLP, coaching, other stuff that she's doing, and how she fits them all together, how she got there, what she uses them for, and so on. So, welcome, Sarah.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, we should probably say you're based in the UK, right?
Yeah, so I'm based in Hertfordshire, just outside London.
Okay. All right. Which came first? Because I know you're into positive psychology as well. Which came
Yeah.
first for you, psychology or NLP?
This is so interesting. It's like, which came first, the chicken or the egg? So let me think, because everything that I do now has come from my own personal journey. So even though I was really interested in NLP, I'm trying to kind of connect the dots backwards as to when
Mm.
it started. So for the very first thing that came first was coaching. And that's because I was working in corporate and I had become a new manager and I was trying to understand how best to manage the team because I'd very much been a subject matter expert. So what came naturally to me was consulting, like telling people the answer. And I soon realized when I started managing that this wasn't the best approach to management. And I looked at all the really great managers and I thought, and leaders, and I thought, what do they have in common? And for me, it was this coaching approach and being able to adapt your style and not just be this kind of like telling people the
Mm.
answer and what to do. So the coaching came first. And then when I applied for the coaching course, the same trainer was offering NLP. And I didn't really understand what NLP was, but when I read the description of it, I was like, oh my goodness, this is so much about psychology, about influencing, about human behavior, which my degree, my master's, and everything leading up to that had been. Um,
Right. So you'd already trained in psychology at this
yeah,
point.
not really positive
Oh,
psychology.
okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it was general psychology as a degree.
Mm.
And then when I did my master's, it was more around the business psychology. So
Right.
if you think of HR, policies, processes mixed
Mhm.
with human behavior and science, that's what the business psychology was.
Right. Okay. Um, so psychologists or the psychology profession in general hasn't always been terribly appreciative of NLP or of the way that NLP presents itself very often as a sort of like rebel, almost a rebellion against academic psychology.
Mm.
So you saw past that by the sound of it.
I saw past by that by looking deeper into things. So when I
Yeah.
was trained in NLP, I was trained by someone who is a professional actor, and his background was very different to mine. But I loved his approach. He's very like dynamic and just very interactive.
Do you want to give him a name
Oh,
check?
yeah, so Steve Payne, he's just amazing.
Right.
So he trained me initially, but then when he was training me, because I had the psychology background, I kept on finding myself asking questions about, but how does this link to psychology?
Mm.
How does this like I saw different models. So for example, Robert Dilts with logical levels. And I thought instantly, I was like, oh, this is like Maslow's hierarchy of needs and talking about the environment and then going to self-actualization. And
Not just because they're often both presented as a pyramid,
no, not at
because
all, but just just the concept of it.
right.
And that's what I was doing throughout my whole NLP training, bringing
Mm,
the psychology back into it, because obviously it originates from like the psychological kind of background, the hypnotherapy, all of those different things. So I felt like I was bringing that back into it, even though that wasn't the focus of what I was learning. And that just for me made it even more interesting, just
mm,
bringing the evidence base back into it. So it's almost like I had to not see past it, but really look deeply into it and then
yeah.
reconnect the dots that hadn't necessarily been connected during the training.
Right. So this is interesting actually, because I remember in an old book of Richard Bandler and John Grinder's, probably Frogs into Princes, I think, but maybe one of the other ones. It's a transcript of a seminar, and they say to their students quite early on, just like forget everything you know or that you think you know. Don't try and analyze this in terms of what you know already.
Mm,
Um, just try it out and see what happens. But I
mm,
think there's two ways of doing that. One would be, oh no, this can't be right because psychology says this is wrong, science says this is wrong, which you can see that approach if you look, I think, at the Wikipedia entry for NLP to this day.
oh, it
A little bit,
upsets me so much when I see that pseudoscience. I'm like,
yeah, I know. Yeah, and then all these badly designed experiments that apparently prove it wrong. Um, But then there's another way, which is okay, so I've tried this out. This works. I wonder what's going on. I wonder how this relates to what I know already, how I can integrate the
yeah.
two, which sounds like more what you were doing.
Yeah, and for me, so there are some things that haven't necessarily got the evidence base behind it. So, for example, the eye accessing cues and things like that, the evidence needs to be built up. But for me, it was about, yes, having the theoretical evidence base behind it, but also I saw the results, and I
Mm,
get goosebumps now when I think about it. I saw the results in my life, in what was happening with me, and
mm,
that for me was the evidence that I needed to to know how powerful it is as a tool, that it does work. I've seen
mm,
the results with my clients as well. So there might not be the empirical evidence behind it and things like that, but for me, I'm like, I've seen it work. I know it
mm.
works.
Yeah, and there are actually some studies that came out fairly recently, which sort of edged towards supporting the eye accessing cues, even, I think. Um, I forget what the references are. If I find them, I'll put them in the show notes.
Yeah.
Um, Maybe I don't know if this is too personal a question or not, but maybe what's the sort of biggest thing you said, I saw it work for me. What was the best thing or the biggest thing that NLP did for you when you were learning it?
Mhm. Yeah, so I have been I mean you can read my book and read my story. I never used to share my story before because I don't know whether I saw it as a weakness that I've had all of these challenges. I don't know what it was. I used to be a very private, keep it to myself person.
Hmm.
But what I realized is that by sharing my story, I can help so many other people who might have experienced something quite similar. So in my book, I talk about experiencing a really awful situation at work, which is what really started my personal development journey. Like being bullied at work, that then led to a breakdown, which then I started the mindfulness just to help with anxiety,
Mm.
then the NLP, and then the hypnotherapy and things like that. But for me, it's really helped give me an understanding of myself and how I work and how I process things, but mainly an understanding of how other people process things. So the
Mm.
filters that other people have, and understanding the like unhelpful thinking patterns, the cultural differences, how our experiences can influence our outcomes, all of those different things. I think what it's helped me most with is managing conflict and understanding people's perspectives, that it might
Mm.
not be my perspective, but actually it's based on all of those filters and their experience. And I think for me, that's been the biggest thing, because people will always do things that aren't aligned to our values. We
Mm.
don't see as being right in our eyes of how they treat us and all of those different things. And actually, it's helped me really understand that they've just got different filters, they've got
Yeah.
different experiences. Also, the NLP presuppositions, so there is no failure, only feedback, is literally my
Mm.
mantra that's helped me in business and in life when things don't go to plan.
That's a good mantra, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, okay. So you've yeah, you better actually tell us what your book is called and where we can find it.
Yeah, so there's three books now. I have to
Oh,
remember all the the various titles.
we'll link to them in the show notes.
Yeah, because they're linked to like charities as well. So that's the reason why we did it.
Oh
Raise
yeah,
money
okay.
for
Yes, tell us
charity.
about how you put those books together, because
Yeah, so it started off with the Facebook group, which I know you want to talk about, because this Facebook group is literally a miracle. So people ask me like, how have you grown it? How have you done this? And it's just exploded.
yeah,
So we'll probably talk about that later on. But it started with the Facebook group. I've always done things for charity, like raising money in different ways. And I just thought, what's an opportunity that can give other people an opportunity at the same time as raising money for charity? And this idea of a book collaboration came up. I worked with Tracy, who's amazing as a publisher. And she just offered me this opportunity that I then offered into the Facebook group. So the first book was Courage. So that was raising money for like mental health charity. We have had a book all about visibility, and we've also had one named after the group, which is the Coaching Corner. So each one of those raises money for a different charity.
right,
That started really from my sister-in-law passing away from cancer, which then I've been raising money ever since for various charities, usually to do with cancer or mental health.
right. So the idea of the books is that you have, as I understand it, from not having been involved in it myself, that you have contributions from a lot of different coaches
Yeah,
around that subject, tips, helpful things, stuff people can do.
yeah.
And then that all goes towards charity, and also in the process, especially if they're like a new coach, it raises their profile a little bit. Is that the
That's absolutely it. So yeah, I mentioned it all stemmed from raising money for charity
Mm.
and giving people an opportunity. So it's an opportunity to tell their story, to like connect with people who might want their like services or to grow their audience. They put the QR code in there. You can scan straight through to their website or to their booking page.
right?
And so yeah, it's an opportunity for them as well as the charity.
Okay, I think this might be a good moment to talk about your Facebook group, actually, the Coaching
Okay.
Corner, and what it's for, and to the extent that we know what happened with it that enabled it to grow so quickly? Because I think it almost took you by surprise as well, perhaps.
It took me by surprise because I was almost at the stage of giving up. And I think that it's a really important lesson to learn for me personally, that sometimes when things feel really hard, when it feels like, oh my goodness, I just want to stop this now, you can literally be on the verge of an absolute breakthrough. And that's what happened to me.
Mm.
I was at the point of not wanting to do Facebook groups, finding it really difficult to engage people in it. Felt like I was doing a lot of the work.
Mm.
It just felt really hard.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't think it's meant to be like this. For everyone else, it looks quite easy. And I went to like a masterminding day, and there was someone there called Carly, who's amazing, and she's like so passionate about growing communities. And I was telling her this story. I was like, it just feels really hard. I want to give up. Like, it just isn't for me. And she's like, Sarah, there's so much opportunity. Just keep on going. And she gave me tips about like setting up my profile and things like that. And we've created like a mini training off the back of that that we've shared with other people for them to grow their communities. And I just kept on with it, and I got really clear on what the purpose of the group was for. So it's for
Yeah, tell us
coaches.
what that is. Yeah.
Yeah, it's for coaches, consultants, and trainers who are looking to connect with like-minded people, but also potentially to get clients as well. So it almost turned into like I wanted it to be a bit of a matchmaker.
Mm.
People will come and there'll be coaches, consultants, and trainers, but also there'll be people in that group that are looking for those services. So that's why every week I offer opportunities for people to market their services in the group, because they often get clients from it, and they might be coaches, consultants, and trainers looking for those services, but there's people in there that don't fall into any of those categories that are also looking for those services as well. So it's just an opportunity to grow your business and grow your network as well.
Mm. And also something else it does that might be of interest to some of our listeners, I think. As I understand it, when people qualify from a coaching institute, when approved by the ICF, for example, International Coach Federation, they need to do a certain number of coaching hours to reach their qualification. And sometimes it can be hard for them to find people to actually coach to actually get those hours up. Yeah.
It's so interesting because when you say like sometimes it can be hard, that has been my experience, and that's what people have told me.
Mm.
And that could be because the only people they're surrounded by are their friends and family, and they
Yeah.
don't want to coach them. Not that their friends and families don't wouldn't benefit from it or they don't want it. It's just that they don't feel comfortable doing
Yeah.
that. So it gives you an opportunity to come along for a couple of hours and have a coaching exchange. And the reason why it's 2 hours is so that each person gets 1 hour
Yeah.
coaching and then being coached,
Mm.
because that's what counts for the ICF in terms of barter coaching.
Yeah.
If it was just one way, then it wouldn't count for the ICF and other
Okay.
places.
Right. Okay. So that's actually it's not just a want, it's a need for some of these newly qualified coaches to actually build up their coaching hours and their experience, of course.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Brilliant. Okay. So and that's called the Coaching Corner. It's a Facebook group. If you put Coaching Corner as a search into Facebook, it will definitely come up, won't it? Yeah.
I would hope so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Um, so you also do quite a bit of corporate training, I've noticed. Um, what do you employ in that? Is it mainly psychology stuff? Is it mainly NLP? What?
Mm. It's so interesting because it's always been psychology because that's been my interest. So it's usually management and leadership development programs or one-off workshops that I'm involved in and that I run. Also, sometimes it's designing it, sometimes it's just delivery. But what I found is that I've always had a psychological slant to it, always positive psychology, because that's what has literally changed my life. Um, but I found that people now ask for me specifically
Mhm.
to deliver, to design it because of those things, but because of the NLP as well. So I got into NLP because it was for personal development. Then I saw how I could build a business from it and incorporate it into my coaching. But then I saw how actually I could get trained as a trainer and then
Mm.
incorporate it into all of my training. And people find it absolutely fascinating. Because I also bring in CBT and the concept of it, that ultimately our thoughts create our feelings, which can
Mm.
create our reality, and how actually if we change our thoughts, that can literally transform everything. So I incorporate a lot of different things into it. But I found that that's what makes it unique, and that's what makes it highly desirable by
Mm.
people in corporate because they've not necessarily experienced training in that way before.
Yeah, yeah. So CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy. Yeah.
Sorry, yeah.
I know. I'm going to assume that our listeners know that NLP means neuro-linguistic programming. Okay. So there is a demand for that, and probably the psychology, really, the fact that you are. What does that C cycle qualification stand for?
Yeah,
Chartered.
so it's a chartered psychologist, and my chartership is with the British Psychological Society. And as a chartered psychologist, I'm also registered and regulated by the HCPC, so the Healthcare Professional Council.
Right.
So yeah, so that's the abbreviated title. So well, they've changed it recently on the training. They've said it's not a chartered occupational psychologist. So I'm an occupational psychologist, which is a protected title
Mhm.
via the HCPC, and I'm a chartered psychologist with the British Psychological Society.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
I just say business psychologist to make
Yeah.
it easier.
Yeah. So I would imagine that's really going to help in terms of credibility in the corporate market. You're not just some like potentially flaky NLP trainer who's come along.
It's interesting. So I was getting all of this work before I became a chartered psychologist.
Right.
Someone said to me when I decided to sign up for it because they knew what the qualification is like. I supervise people on that route now,
Mm.
but they knew what it's like. It's a tough qualification. You have to get all of the projects, work with different businesses, and you have to meet the criteria. It's hard. It can take 4 years. And someone said to me, "Why are you doing this, Sarah? You're already getting these clients, you're already getting this type of work. It won't add anything in terms of the credibility that you've built in the industry." So for me, it was a very personal thing. I'm
Right.
one of my core strengths is about results focus. And for me, if I know there's a higher level to achieve, I always want to aim for that level. So it felt like it then drew a line under everything that I've done because it was like the pinnacle of the psychology profession, if you like, being chartered.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So as somebody who's quite old now, you were saying about the accreditation potentially taking 4 years, or the chartered status potentially taking 4 years. If you're looking at that to start it, it may seem like, oh, 4 years, that's a long time. I can tell you 4 years just like goes just like that.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah.
yeah. So I guess the advice would be if somebody's thinking about doing something like that, just do it because you will be glad later on that you have.
Absolutely. And I find there's so many people out there. So that's just part of the route. So
Mm,
before you do the chartership, you have to have a degree and you have to have a graduate basis for registration and do your master's in psychology. And they all have to be BPS approved routes. So first of
right.
all, degree, then master's, and then your chartership. So I'd say, like, if you have done your master's and you're at that stage, like, definitely go for it. Like, it can be such a rewarding experience. And I think as well, that is what helped me like transform my business because
Mm,
as part of the chartership, I did it independently and I had to go out and seek these projects, which although some of them were bono, it then resulted in paying clients coming back to me and wanting more work. So
yeah.
it's an opportunity to build your business if you
Mm,
structure it really well and have a good supervisor.
yeah. Yeah. Um, okay, which sort of brings us to your open course training, which is co trains people in coaching and NLP, and I'm not quite sure what else. Do you want to tell us about that and how you blend those in your diploma course and whatever else you're doing now?
Yeah, so Andy, why like I fell in love with your books when I was going through my NLP training because something that's really important to me is the fact that it's practical. It's not just theoretical. Like I've done so many courses in my lifetime that are just about the theory,
Mm.
and then you finish it and then you're like, how do I actually apply this? Like, how do I actually help someone transform their life using this theory? I don't know how to do it.
Right, this is the practical NLP
Yeah,
series, yeah.
practical. I love it so much.
Okay, available in all good bookshops and some crap ones, but mostly
I've
Amazon
literally
to be
got all
fair.
of them on my bookshelf.
Great, thank you.
So yeah, that's what I am passionate about, building practical courses. So
Hmm.
if someone is not trained as a coach, I would then recommend my coaching training. At the moment, it's accredited by the Association for Coaching, but next year I'm looking to get that ICF accredited as
Hmm.
well. So I'm on that journey. So that's the first kind of signature course, if you like. It's
Yeah.
all singing, all dancing, become a coach and also learn how to set up your coaching and business and grow your business, get clients.
Which I think not all coaching courses give you that. Yeah.
No, absolutely. And that for me is absolutely key. I don't
Mm.
want someone paying £5,000 and then at the end of it not being able to make money from it and help people. So so that's why I've added that in. Then I've got the NLP diploma and practitioner course as well. So that is certified by the ANLP, so the
Mhm.
Association of NLP. I've also got a mini course. So if someone is wanting to get started in NLP, but not quite ready for the practitioner level. They just want to explore like how to use this practically in their coaching, consulting, and training. I've
Right.
got coaching with NLP, which is and is going to be in the next few weeks,
Mhm.
CCE accredited by the ICF, so that it would be an
Okay.
official course. And then I've got the NLP mastery level, which is it combines positive psychology in that as well.
Right. Okay. And that's presumably master practitioner
Yes,
NLP
master
comes out of that.
practitioner. Yeah.
Okay, so you've got a complete ladder, but people could just do if they're a coach and they want the most useful bits for coaches, they could just do the coaching with NLP
Yep, so there's
module, as
that.
it were. Yeah.
And if you are like a course junkie like me, who's absolutely obsessed with learning, I've also got a membership. So that is a CPD based membership for anyone who's looking for that continuous professional development
Right.
ongoing. So there's going to be courses that are launched into that are CCE approved by the ICF. Every single month there'll be a new course launching on things like mindful coaching. So I'm a mindfulness teacher. So I bring that in, the neuroscience of coaching. So lots of mini
Mm.
courses to keep your professional development up, but also keep your brain ticking as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Brilliant. Okay. So usually on this podcast, I ask our guests for a tool or a tip or an intervention or a procedure that our listeners may find particularly useful.
Mhm.
Um, so I don't know whether you want to talk about using something in individual coaching or something more in the sort of corporate or group sphere or what? What have you got? What do you want to share with us?
Yeah, so I suppose my favourite, like I use this in all my master classes, and people end up really loving it. And it is one of my favourite techniques, is the logical levels from Robert Dilts.
Yeah.
But I don't know how you deliver it, Andy, but I found a way that really works for me that gets really amazing results with clients. So I think I want to share my tips around what I do with this technique that might or might not make it slightly different to how other people might deliver it.
Okay, and then if when we've heard that, if I've got anything, slightly different that I've used that also works, I may as well share that with the listeners as well.
Yeah,
If it's
yeah,
different, if it's different enough to make it worth saying. So
yeah.
yeah, go ahead, go right ahead.
Yeah, so I don't know how much the listeners know about the logical levels, but if you imagine the pyramid and stepping into each of those different levels that you've got, so you've got the environment level, you've got the behavior, you've got the skills, you've got the beliefs and values, and the higher levels. So what I do that might be slightly different is I make it super practical.
Hmm.
So for me, this is a coaching tool that I want people to come out with like tangible steps of what they could change at each of those different levels to help them move towards their goal. So I get them to come up with their goal, and when we're exploring each of those different levels, there's three questions that I ask along the way. So at that level, so for example, if you're at the environment level, what's in alignment and what's out of alignment with the goal that you want to achieve, and
Right.
what needs to change? So
Hmm.
those are the three questions that I ask at each of those different stages. So at the end of that process, the person has come up with tangible actions that they can change to help them become more in alignment with their goal. When I get to the top of the pyramid, what I ask them to do then is come up with is there something that comes to mind that represents having achieved this goal? So I say to them, because their subconscious mind will talk and give them those things, and they'll try and push them away as if they don't make sense. And I just say to them, what's the first thing that comes to mind when you think about achieving this goal? And they'll come up with things like, oh, it's a color, or it's a shape, or
Yeah.
it's some kind of symbol for
Hmm.
achieving this goal. So, what I then do once the person has come up with that is get the submodalities of that. So it could be like what's the color of it? Is it bright? Is it near? Is it far? Is there
Yeah.
a sound to it? All of these different things to make it really feel real and come to life.
Yeah.
What I do then at once we've got all that detail, because
Oh, quick question. Sorry for
yeah,
the unless it's going to be answered by what you're about to say. Just for the real NLP buffs listening, are you just eliciting the submodalities at that point, or are you helping them kind of tune them up and make it even stronger, or what?
this is what I'm going to do next.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, so what I do after we've got the submodalities, oh, it's just lovely because ultimately it creates a state of peacefulness, like whatever state you want to create, you can do it through this. So I mentioned before that I'm a mindfulness teacher. So what I do is I take them through a meditation incorporating the submodalities of what they've just told me, the symbolic like sense of achieving that goal,
Hmm.
and I get them to bring it into every part of their body. So they sense it through the head, the neck, every part, and then it anchors them into that space and that moment in time as if they've already achieved it. So it's at that point, then I would maybe play around with the submodalities and dial them up and make it even stronger, even more
Right.
powerful, and really anchor them into that moment. So that then when they come out of that meditation, they feel calm, they feel
Mhm.
relaxed, and they've got tangible steps that they can use to move in more into alignment with their goal.
Right. So it sounds like this is something you're doing in one-to-one coaching.
I use it as so I run masterclasses that are
Yeah.
free masterclasses that people come along to. So I use it as a group exercise.
Right.
So I might get some people to put in the chat a bit about the submodalities so that I can incorporate it in. But
This is online that you're
yeah,
doing
this
this.
is
Yeah.
online.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I tend to use it a lot in one-to-one coaching.
Right. Okay. No, I just had an image of like a room full of people in a corporate that you might be guiding through something. I don't know if you.
So I have done that before.
Yeah.
Usually it's Leaves on the Stream, which is my favorite meditation, because it helps us bring more awareness to our thoughts and be able
Hmm.
to let go of unhelpful thoughts. So I have used that in a corporate setting.
Right. Okay. So just to fill in, if some people haven't really heard of logical levels, because I think there are, especially these days, there are probably some NLP courses that don't really do much with it. In fact,
Such a shame. It's so
no,
powerful.
I know there are because like 20 years ago, 25 years ago, there was a big not controversy, but there was a bit of a kerfuffle in the NLP field as a whole, where people were saying, "Oh, logical levels, it's not really NLP because it's content based."
Mm-hmm.
And my view about this is, well, I don't care really if it works. I'm not really too bothered. And it does work. So just to fill in the levels for people that haven't heard of it, we've got the environment, which is where you are, could be your physical surroundings, but also like other
Yeah.
people, community that you're in corporates, it could be your competition, perhaps, and the markets that you're serving, and
Yeah.
possibly even like government regulators or professional bodies or whatever as well that you've got to sort of do stuff around.
Yeah, so
Um,
it could be macro, micro. It could even be the room that you're in
that
right
you're in,
now,
yeah,
like
yeah,
your setup of your office, for example.
yeah. Whether you've got a decent computer or a old flagging one,
Yeah.
yeah.
Can I just
Uh,
tell you a little
Please,
story?
yeah.
So one person that I was coaching, they actually realized that it was their environment that was bringing them out of alignment with their goals
Mm.
simply because they didn't have a printer to print things out and a space that they could just do their work in. And they were having to move things about all of the time and they didn't have that focused space. And that was literally from what's in alignment, what's out of alignment, what needs to change. And as soon as that changed, they were able to finish the qualification that they'd been procrastinating over.
Superb. Yeah.
Yeah.
It seems like a small thing, but it can make a difference.
Yeah.
And also it can get overlooked with all the other stuff going on in people's minds.
Absolutely.
Okay, yeah. So the next level then is behavior, right? What
Yeah,
you
behavior.
do,
Yeah, so your habits,
yeah,
your routines.
yeah. Stuff you're doing that's in alignment, stuff you're doing that's getting in the way, not
Yeah,
in
not
alignment.
setting boundaries.
Yeah.
So, yeah. All of those things.
And then next level, classically they call it capabilities, but as you
Yeah.
said, skills, which is a bit more understandable. Which so how do you ask about the skills being in alignment or not? And what's
Yeah, so sometimes I will change the question. So for this one, I might ask, what skills have you got that are supporting you achieving that goal? And what skills also are holding you back? So, for example, the thing about psychology is that you can get involved in so many different things. Like you can be a coach, a consultant, a trainer, all of these different things. But that might actually then cause problems because then you're not focusing and growing one thing. So the psychology is actually a skill that can sometimes not be in alignment, or you might be really good at business development, at sales, at marketing, and coaching on all of these different things. But actually, is it more helpful to get other people to do some of those different things so that you can then focus on the delivery of the services?
yeah, oh, this is also the classic thing with the first time manager, isn't it? Where they're probably better at everything than the people who are working for them, and they end up either doing it themselves or spending ages solving the problems of the people who work for them. But
Yeah.
even if those subordinates or your virtual assistants or whatever are only 80% as good as you at this particular skill, it may still be better off to delegate to them and so you can focus on what you're actually doing. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I've literally just delivered a 90-minute session this morning online it's a global business and it's all around management and delegation. That's exactly what we were talking about.
Right. Okay. So that, yeah, this is interesting actually, because I've always thought of the capabilities or skills level as being, what skills have you got that will help you towards your goal? And are there any gaps? Are there any skills you don't have? But what you've brought in here is actually too many skills can be are there actually skills that you have that are also getting in the way because they're causing you to lose focus? So that's
And I
that's
think
an
this is
interesting insight.
Yeah, and I think this is from my positive psychology background of
Mm.
like we all have these strengths, but maybe that strength is in overdrive and actually that's what's holding you back.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Which is, yes, having having too much strength or having too much skill is not really the way that we've tended to look at it in NLP, I think, on the whole in the past.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So next level then, beliefs and values. What sort of questions do you ask them there?
Yeah, so this is where the questions start changing, and you will notice the shift in the person in front of you because you go into a deeper level. So
Mm.
sometimes it might take them longer to process this,
Yeah.
and they might get quite emotional at this point as
Mm.
well. So I asked them what beliefs and values are helpful
Mm.
towards achieving this goal. Also, what beliefs and values are actually holding you back because sometimes our values might not be that helpful when
Mm.
when we're really kind of strict on things. Yeah, so those are the types of questions that I ask.
Right. So an example that comes to mind might be if somebody needs to do a bit of selling to reach their goal, but they are not comfortable selling because of their belief about what salespeople are like or what you have to do to sell things.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I've coached quite a few people that have come from an NHS background, for
Mm.
example, and their beliefs around you shouldn't charge for your services, it holds them back when they go into their own business or when they do like private work
Yeah.
versus NHS work. So yeah, those are the questions that I asked there.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Because of course, society on the whole is being charged for their services when they were in the National Health Service, and that's where their money came from. That's how they were able to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So very next level up is identity. What are you asking them there?
Yeah, so now this is a different question. This is around more focusing on what they want to achieve and how that links to their identity.
Mm.
So yeah, it would be how does this goal reinforce your identity and how you want to show up and who you are and who you believe you are and have the potential to be as well.
Yeah, yeah, because identity is not fixed.
Yeah.
Yeah, it develops. Uh, yeah, so that's actually a bit more of a subtle question than very often at this level I've seen it posed as like, who do you need to be to achieve this goal or something like that, which is not
I
quite
think
the same thing.
yeah, I think again it goes back to my positive psychology
Mm.
and spending a lifetime thinking that I needed to be someone else to be really successful.
Yeah.
For me, it's about who are you and what's the best version of you rather than having to feel like you're becoming someone else to achieve this.
Yeah, which, you don't want to become somebody else really,
Yeah.
because yeah, it's at the very least can be uncomfortable.
Mm,
Um, yeah, so the final level or the top level, um, sometimes I've noticed this level is left out of books about business
mm,
NLP altogether. It just like stops at identity. I'm not sure why, because this is the sort of spiritual or purpose level.
mm.
Possibly they think it'll scare people wearing suits if they have to think about that stuff. What kind of questions are we? I'm assuming you're going up to that level.
Yeah,
Yeah. What kind of
absolutely.
questions are we asking there?
Yeah. It's so interesting when that's left out and also reworded as well. You'll see lots of kind of slash this, slash that. It's
Mm,
spirituality, or it's this, or it's that.
yeah.
And I think it depends on who's in front of me and
Mm,
what it means to that person.
yeah.
But usually I will ask the question about how will this goal help you give back? So, to the people
Mm,
immediately around you, to your wider community, and ultimately your gift to the world, how will it help you achieve that?
right. Yeah, I could see that would work. Um, yeah. So that's quite interesting to me. um, Using those logical levels as a way of finding a route to the goal, removing obstacles to a goal, but having it as a route to a goal and being aligned with that goal. Because how I've used it in the past is very often more about possibly the same thing, but just flipped around, more about solving a problem. So I've been asking, you know, at your environment, what is there that's part of the problem or symptoms of the problem or causing the problem, and what have you got that will help you solve it, and so on. Um, so a thing that I've done a lot when this is like pre virtual classes and pre Zoom really, um, where you're actually in the room with the person,
Mm,
you can write the names of the levels on some pieces of paper, put them on the floor like stepping stones, and get
yeah.
them to step onto the environment level and ask, what at this level, what's contributing to the problem, what's the symptoms of it, and also what have you got at this level that's going to help you solve it. And you can ask them in their perceptual space, which side does it feel, where does it feel like the problems are, which side is it that the problems are on, and then which side is more like the solution side. And as the coach, of course, you want to go then and stand on the solution side rather than the problem side, so you're not associated with it.
Yeah.
But when you said beliefs and values level, that this is where people can sometimes get quite emotional. What
Mm,
I've noticed as they step up to the next level and they get near the top of that, um, I tend to think of it as a ladder rather than a pyramid, just
Mm,
precisely to avoid that identification with Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Because sometimes people just look at the traditional pyramid diagram of logical levels, which you see in all the textbooks, and they say, "Oh, yeah, that's the same as Maslow's hierarchy of needs." It's not quite the same.
yeah.
There are some parallels. Um, as they get up to the identity, and particularly up to the spiritual or purpose level, or whatever other sort of slash that you want to put on it, it's almost like they go into a trance or indeed transcendent kind of state
Mm,
very often. Some very occasionally, I think this has happened once in a workshop like 30 years ago. Somebody stepped up to the spiritual level and burst into tears. So
yeah.
we stepped back from that and just took that as useful information that
Mm,
there's something there to be dealt with. Um, and then when and then I get them to turn around at the spiritual level and look back down that hierarchy, or those different levels,
yeah.
and look at how the problem seems to them now. So this is what you do, if you're looking at it as a problem rather than a goal. I guess if it's a goal, you want to keep going in the same direction. But
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then step back down to the identity level, bringing everything that you've learned
Yeah.
with you, and notice what's different. Notice what's different about the resources. Notice what's different about the problems. And so I'm doing that down to every level, right back to the environment. And what we almost invariably find is the problem's gone right into perspective, or
Mhm.
it's almost vanished
Yeah.
at many of the levels. And it comes back to things they can do stuff about. But what I like about your approach there is that you are actually getting them to think about specific things, quite
Mm,
granular stuff, that's in alignment or not alignment. So they end up with a list of things that they can actually tackle and do
yeah.
to actually make it better. So I love that.
Yeah. And I think as well, so you mentioned about kind of coming back down. So that's what I do in the meditation. I
Right.
revisit some of the things that they've said along the way,
Mm.
not the negative in terms of what's out of alignment, but what they want to change. And
Yeah.
it's almost like future pacing,
Mm.
as if that's already happened, as if they're already there. So really anchoring them into that.
Yeah, yeah, and then they've got something to work towards and something
Yeah,
that will attract them towards it to do it.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I would love to put a link to that technique for our listeners. I don't know if I mean, I've got loads of articles about logical levels on my NLP site, but I wonder if you've got something that we can link to on yours.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think for me, like I said, the thing that I love about your books is that they're so practical. So for me, the first thing that came into my mind was, wouldn't it be nice for you to see this in action?
Mm,
So I have actually got a masterclass that I've recorded, so I could maybe link to that, to the
that sounds great.
replay.
Yeah.
Because it talks about cognitive behavioral therapy and linking all of that in. So you get a flavor of kind of how I do that in real life.
Yeah. Yeah, and maybe some people will see that and say, "Oh, I really like the way she's bringing these approaches together. I want some more of this," and maybe they'll come and train with you.
That would be amazing.
Yeah, I can say this quite happily because I don't do NLP training anymore.
I love it.
I've done my stint there, and I'm all about the appreciative inquiry these days.
Yeah,
Um, but I've still got the books, I've still got the products, so that's why it's worth. And I'm still learning as well. Like I've learned something about the logical levels from you today. So yeah, we will link to that. We will link to that. We will link to your Facebook group for coaches, and also people perhaps in search of a coach or who want some coaching. Maybe even free if they're doing it for practice. I don't know if that. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah,
yeah.
there's that opportunity. And that's why I offered it because I thought
Mm.
there's so many people out there who maybe can't afford the thousands of pounds that coaches charge. And actually
Yeah.
it benefits the coach because they get the practice and the hours and the
Mm.
client as well.
Yeah, so it's an absolute win-win.
Yeah.
And a third win for society as well, I think, because
Definitely.
people are really benefiting from it all round, and everyone's building their skills and so on. Yeah, fantastic. Um, all right, so Sarah, what else? What do you wish I'd asked you?
What do I wish it? I don't know. Yeah, I thought it's been very thorough. We've covered quite a lot. Um, I suppose my values and the reason why I'm so passionate about supporting people in the coaching space is because I just see, like, for me, ethics is something that's really key. So yeah, I think that's just a bit about me and my approach. It's very much about ethical, evidence-based, practical skills is how I'd summarize it overall. I don't think there's anything that I wish you'd asked me that you haven't asked me.
Oh,
Well
that's
covered.
good. That is good. Okay, fantastic. Well, tell us, because not everyone's going to look at the show notes. Tell us how people can find you and find out about your training, what the website's called, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, so my website is www.thecoachingcorneracademy.com and literally everything is on there. So whether you're looking for corporate services or for personal services like personal professional development, it's all on there. So yeah, you can find me there.
Thecoachingcorneracademy.com. Yeah.
That's it. Yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah. All right. And I think it only remains to be said. Thank you very much, Sarah. It's been a real privilege chatting with you. And I it sounds like whether you're a coach, whether you're an NLP practitioner, or whether you're just a generally interested listener, I'm hoping that you've got something from this conversation. And yeah, let's do this again at some point, and maybe cover some other aspects. It'll be great. Thank you very much.
Thank
See you
you.
soon.
Thank you.
That's it for this week's podcast. You can find the show notes for this episode with links to the resources we mentioned, and if you're lucky, a transcript at nlppod.com, where you can also subscribe via your favourite podcast app so you never miss another episode. If you liked the podcast, please do take a moment to give it a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or wherever else lets you write podcast reviews, and tell your friends and colleagues about it. Thanks for listening, and see you next time.